Hello to all of our listeners and viewers. Today I am joined by the lovely Amy.B.Garratt, our poet and author of Sunlight Stripping Shadows Bare. Hello, Amy. How are you?
Good, yeah. I'm super happy that I can get all my knitwear out again. I'm
Yes.
very the autumn enthusiast, so yeah, I'm happy about that.
Those Halloween vibes are fast approaching as well.
Yeah.
So today for all of our viewers that are joining us on our YouTube, you will be able to see the amazing copy I've got of Sunlight Stripping Shadows Bare. And today I'm just going to be having a chat with Amy about the process of writing, your writing journey, and just really about your publishing journey and now becoming a fully published author, and just how author life is really. So to kind of get started, it will be really lovely, Amy, if you could just chat a little bit about where the inspiration for the book came from, and where beginning to write poetry all sort of started.
Well, initially, I mean, I'd written different types of poems, but I'd written poems from sort of being a teenager. I did like English Lit GCSE, English Lit A level. It was always something that I was quite interested in.
Yeah.
But then when it came to uni, I ended up going to do a drama course, which ended up not really being the right course for me because I didn't end up sticking with it. So yeah, I spent a lot of years like regretting that I hadn't finished uni. And then one of my friends had said about, why don't you look into doing an open university degree, because you can kind of do it around work and you can fit it in around other things.
Sure.
And I've always had trouble with my anxiety and things. So to me, it's sort of the ideal solution, because then I could do the study without having to be in like a big lecture hall of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started that in 2016. And yeah, I ended up doing some of their creative writing modules that went alongside the degree. So it's English Lit and creative writing.
Yeah.
And I just really enjoyed the poetry parts of it. And I was like, oh, I need to get back into this.
Yeah.
A lot of things about like free writing or cluster writing. So like you get like a keyword, and then from that you just create like a web of different words and different phrases, and like a way of, I mean, like I used it for writing a short story for an assignment as well, because it kind of gives you a jumping point. But yeah, it was good for poetry because I just quite liked the idea that I could just like spill out these words and just kind of see how it came together. And then I'd moved to North Lincolnshire in 2018, and I ended up going to the local bookshops, and yeah, then found out about yourselves.
And that's where the publishing journey started.
Sort of because of lockdown, I'd started writing a diary of like things that were going on, because it just kind of felt like this is going to be, even sort of March 2020, I was like, this is a big deal, like this is going to be something important. I was just writing down like different things that I was thinking about, like obviously isolating with the family and not seeing the family that are in Yorkshire, and just like all the emotions that came with it. And saw that you guys were asking about people's experiences in lockdown, and it just kind of all started from there.
Yes, that's it. And for anyone that has a copy, or please do get a copy. On the blurb on the back of the book, we literally did sort of say it's an effortless collection of poetry that pours onto the page in heartfelt words, and that is exactly how we first initially received this submission from you, Amy, because it was a lot of the poetry that you sent to us. You even said so yourself, like, I've literally just typed this up, or it was on like maybe notes on your phone, and it's it's very sort of raw emotion, raw feelings that I think a lot of people not only experienced in lockdown but within ourselves. And just sort of going on to more of the internals of the book, a lot of your poetry sort of explores those areas of ourselves. And you talk about anxiety in it, or just the light and dark of us as people, as humans, the light and darks of friendships, relationships. And we worked quite closely to achieve inside the book actually the different sections. So it'd be lovely to just hear about how was there a process of those poems, or did you just write them as you kind of felt that those emotions were there and heightened, I guess?
Yeah, some of them it's been things that that they would, I mean, like I've had intrusive thoughts before, as it's like sort of part of my anxiety disorder, so like I can't always control like different things that I think about, but like sometimes it's a positive thing because it's like, no, you need to write this thing, like you need to put this down. Yeah, sometimes it is just a case of like I'll just write out the sort of the first thing that comes to mind. The ones that were sort of autumn themed or like Halloween, Christmas, that type of theme, some of that came from word prompts. So on Instagram there was a lot of poetry pages that they did like a month of writing prompts. So it was like day one, write a poem about trees, and it was, kind of things that could set me off, if that makes sense. Like there's quite a few that I'd written about Halloween just because it was fun. It was like, oh, this day, you write a poem about witches, or today you write a poem about trick or treating. It was just kind of like just like a jumping off point that I could then write about that theme. It was uni that kind of set me off on the free writing thing, because I always sort of felt, oh, I don't have the discipline for, doing this specific structure. And obviously with my degree, you're doing an assessment. A lot of the poetry is, you write a sonnet in a very specific way, like 14 lines, have this, haiku has to have a certain amount of syllables. A lot of talk about the emphasis on the syllables, so like the up and down, and with the free it was just kind of, there are no rules, I can just write whatever I feel. A lot of people that have read the book have sort of said like, I can feel the emotion of it. It just like edited to the point of sort of being too pristine. And other people have said, you've explained it in a way that I'm reading it thinking that's how I felt about the situation I was in. Sort of with relationships where they weren't healthy relationships, a lot of people have approached me and said, yes, I've felt this way. I at the same time, I'm like, that's sad that you've gone through that, but it's nice that you feel that someone understands it.
And being able to connect on that level with people, do you feel like that has been quite an unexpected level of becoming a published author, of people actually then coming and sharing their stories with you?
I didn't expect the level of understanding. Like I was a little bit reserved of, what if especially people that know me, it comes across the wrong way. What if people are confused, like, why haven't you shared this with me and stuff like that? But I've just had a lot of positive reaction to it. A lot of people that have, it's like strangers that have said, I've bought your book, and it's got me through a tough time that I'm going through now because of lockdown, because people being furloughed and not seeing their families. And the effect on your mental health of being so isolated.
Yes.
Yeah, and obviously now it's at the point that, you know, things are opening up again and people can see each other, and it's that joy of being back together. So it's kind of like, I was making a joke yesterday about this. So I was like, the first part of the book is quite it's got quite a sadness to it, because it is like things that have happened to me that were upsetting or that were difficult.
Yes.
But then as you go through the book and continue reading it, it's, you know, it ends on a good note. There's a lot of love in the book. There's a lot of optimism. There's a lot of, you know, yes, I do have mental health struggles, but I also have people in my life that support me through that. You know, you don't have to do it alone. So I mean, it's lovely when people have said that, like, they can relate to it, because you do feel isolated in your own head sometimes, and it's nice to have someone come up to me and say, you know, you made me feel like I could reach out, or I could have somebody else that's been through the same things that I've been through. So that's probably the most important thing that I've gotten out of it.
That's amazing. It really is. And I think when you first came to us, and that was a big purpose in terms of us working with you, because I think it is that and I think that comes through the way that you have written certain poems, as in sometimes it is how you wrote it. We wanted to preserve that, because it gives it a slight I think sometimes it creates barriers between people when you try to make things too perfect, because it isn't perfect. And it was important for us working with you to make sure that was left, so that it was, because it is how you wrote it, it was how you were feeling. And I think that really does add to just the whole essence of the book. And I often think that your book is something that, you know, you could read as a mantra to yourself in the morning, or, you know, you can just connect with, you could just open up a page. I'm going to do it now, and I'll tell you which poem I land on. Festive Lullaby. So you can just read and enjoy that poem for what it is, and if it resonates with you, then it does. And I think that is the beauty of it. And I think,
I mean, I've had people say, you know, oh, I've read it from cover to cover, but then I've had other people that have said, you know, I've dipped in and out of it. You know, I've read a few from one section, and then I've gone on to the next section. And I just think that's the good thing about poetry, is that you can read it in your own way. There is the order of the poetry. I guess there is kind of a little thread of plot, but it isn't the same as where it's, you have to kind of keep up with what's going on. Got, you know, good quotes in it, I would say.
Yeah, I think that is exactly it. You don't have to read it cover to cover. It can be utilized however that individual wants to, and I think that is the absolute beauty of it. And with that, I guess it comes hand in hand with actually like speaking the poetry and reading aloud to people. Have you enjoyed that side of becoming an author? And you know, I know that you did in Cleethorpes, was it last week? Just talking a little bit, you know, I know it wasn't your own poetry, but actually like sharing and getting confident with sharing your poetry with people.
Oh, it was, yeah. So I did on Sunday I went to Cleethorpes, and we were sort of chatting about the book. But yeah, I did an open mic night in Scunthorpe. So sort of the first time that I'd ever kind of performed it, I suppose. I mean, I used to do a lot of theatre things in Yorkshire, but it's been a good 3 years since I've done anything in like a performance type way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just lovely. It was just lovely to see people's reaction, and it's you know, people that were complete strangers, and then they come up and they're like, oh, it's so witty, it's so clever, it's, you know, I had a lady that asked me if she could buy one of my books, like just from hearing one poem, which luckily I did take a few copies with me. But I just expect it. I just did not expect, like, you kind of think that people will do the polite thing and like, oh, you know, well done. And I just wasn't expecting the feedback that I got. So that was lovely. I'm gonna go to the next one. That's the 21st of October. So yeah, it's nice to connect. Like, I didn't realize that there were so many writers, poets just in this local area.
Yes.
I didn't really sort of know how to go about finding a group like that, so it's been nice to kind of discover them, and they're so welcoming and like, yeah, you know, come back and do some more. So yeah, it's been
amazing. And it's just really, I guess, opening up, and not even just as an author, but poet, whatever it may be, and finding that confidence to speak loud and to share stories. And I suppose in that sense, is there anything that you would advise to any first time, not just poets but authors, you know, on their journey? Is there any sort of advice that you would want to give to them after your experience?
I mean, I definitely think that there is something to be said for doing things that you're comfortable with. Like, I haven't sort of set up a book tour or anything like that, because I'm kind of pacing myself, and I know, like, my own anxiety and things like that. So like, I know that I have to kind of time and pick the things that I really want to focus on. But also there's a lot to be said for going out of your comfort zone. Like, I hadn't planned to go and do any of these open mic nights, but it's just been something really positive. So I feel like you kind of have to do a bit of experiment with what you're comfortable with doing. If you go to an open mic night and it's not for you, then I think one of the things with me is that I don't want to have regrets. Like, regrets just eat you up, and that was part of the reason for doing the book in the first place, because I was like, after everything that's happened with, you know, the lockdowns, everything that's happened with people that have lost people, why not try? Why not do these things? Why not put yourself out there and just see what happens? Because what's the worst that's going to happen? After you know, like this, it's like not that serious for me to go and read some poetry. So you just have to, you know, find your own way of writing as well. Like, I you know, jealous of people that have the stamina to sit and write a novel, or have the stamina to, you know, I've written this poetry collection and it's, you know, sonnets, and I find that hard. So I just think you have to find your own style and your own, you know, the way that you want to get your words across, I think, is the most important.
It is such good advice. And it's not maybe not being too limiting to, we're big limiters to ourselves of what we can achieve a lot of the time. And even just you on this journey this year, from publishing your book at the beginning of summer, you know, that it's the confidence has just, you've like grown in leaps and bounds of confidence around your book. And it's always that terrifying moment, I think, as anything, of putting that part of yourself out there. And particularly with this process, this publishing process, it is that vulnerability of putting yourself out there. But it's always that moment of, if you don't do it, then you don't, if you don't try, then you don't know, do you?
I mean, when sort of having the initial conversations about this, it was, you know, there were no in-person events, there were no, you know, you can go and do a book, you can go and do promo, and what, you know, it was all online, it was social media posts. And now it's like, oh, I actually have the chance to go to a bookshop, have the chance to. So I think that's pushed me a little more, that first came, you know, when it first was launched, I couldn't do any things.
No, and it is just now, isn't it, that you're able to have that experience. And I think that brings us quite nicely onto just a little bit about what is next. So there's International Poetry Day this week, and our listeners and viewers would love to just hear what is coming next for Amy.B.Garratt, and please do also let us know where everybody can find you and follow you, and on social media, and hopefully purchase their very own copy for a lovely autumnal read. So yeah, let us know what's next.
I will sign anything put in front of me. So like, there's been a few people, would you mind? And I'm like, not at all. I will sign that right now. Specifically this week on Thursday, I'm doing sort of an open mic thing. It's I'm going to do some poetry reading at Grace's Cafe in Brig. So they've just opened, dog friendly, and that's like the best thing ever for me because I love dogs. So, and it's autumn, so you know, you can go in, have a nice coffee, listen to some poetry. So yes, I'm there from 12 o'clock, just like reading some of my poems, probably like autumnal themed ones because it's like that time of year now. And then the North Links libraries, I've done like a recording thing with them. So they're going to put that video out on Thursday, I think, on their website, on the North Links Council website. And they've done recordings of the poets that were part of the Of Earth and Sky installation in Scunthorpe.
Yes.
So that was August, I think it was the 6th of August until the 2nd of September, and there was all different poets' words in different places in Scunthorpe, and you could sort of follow the trail. So yeah, the library's trying to kind of get a panel of writers together so that they can just get like more people talking about like the writing scene in North Links, I think, is kind of the main thing that they want to do. So yeah, that's like immediately what's coming up this week. And I'm hoping that if the dates align, I want to try do a book fair in November, but it does depend what the dates are because I'm getting married in November.
Oh.
So yeah, I would like to do something like a book fair because it would just, well, it would be nice to meet more of the other writers that like I've been talking to, stuff like that, but it would just be nice again to sort of say, oh yeah, I've tried this as well. So yeah, I'm a bit of a dinosaur, so I don't have like Twitter or anything. Like my main thing is Instagram, so if anyone does want to go and find me, it's Amy.B.Garratt _author. And there's many book posts, and I'm doing a reading challenge as well at the minute, so I don't just post about my thing, I'll like post about other books as well, so quotes and stuff, just like all kind of book related things. So yeah, exciting.
Oh, well, Amy, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for speaking with me today. And for anybody that doesn't have a copy yet or is beginning to buy some Christmassy or thinking about Christmassy gifts, this is an absolute, yes, this is
there are some
glorious.
Lovely Christmas poems in there, actually.
There are.
I am a big Halloween Christmas fan, so yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas is just like my favorite sort of hybrid Halloween Christmas thing. So yeah,
that's it. And you know, you've got to buy the book to find out. Well, thank you anyway, Amy, and we will catch up with you very soon.
Thanks for having me on.
You are welcome.